All right. We are live. Got to get the video going.
Ow. Oh, this is going to bother me now.
In a world of divisiveness, we bring you diversity. In a world of hate, we bring you love. In a world of fear, we inspire you to live. And now, laughing, loving, and alive with your hosts Rain Thomas, Elmer J. Howard, and Dr. Kevin.
Hello, hello. I am the Flash.
Whoa! I love that. I am Count Dracula in 2022. Ah.
What I really love is the way Elmer says, I am the Flash. Not, I'm the Flash, right? That's what you'd think a Flash would be, right? No, I am the Flash.
Well, see, I'm so fast all the time that, when I'm just slow with the normal people, I just talk a little slower.
Are you saying?
Oh, is that what it is? Okay. Anything you tell yourself to sleep at night, we're okay with. We ain't sleeping with you. So, I am William Shakespeare.
Oh, this is quite the selection we have here tonight.
Yes. So, tell me, who have you been flashing lately, Elmer? He said he was a Flash. I just thought
I want to hear this. I've got my recording on too, just in case I need to get his next movie.
It'd be myself in the mirror.
Oh, well, now we're on to the scary things. Count Dracula, what have you... So, what have you been up to, Elmer? Spill the beans.
Work. We went to the Renaissance Festival for my birthday because have we had a show since then?
No, I don't
think so. Okay, and Dr. Kevin came up, and Jeff and his father, and we had Nikita and Dragon. So we had a little group go to Stanton. No, where was that in Maine? It was in the west central, kind of on the New Hampshire border.
Acton? Was it
Acton? Yes, you're right. Acton, Maine.
Acton. Not that either one of you would know anything about Acton, but
I've been to Acton.
What?
I've been to Acton.
Acton, Maine?
Yeah. There's population 4.
Right.
Well, but there was a huge ING on the end of the word for you two. So you went to the Ren Fair. You had a birthday. Was it Was it a milestone one?
Yeah, 29.
What else?
I'm not here to judge.
I'm trying to think back the last few weeks. I've just been busy with the film, the accounting, the duplex.
How's that coming along, the duplex? I mean, are you doing some work or what's happening?
We've slowed down because we're trying to get some money from the city, and they won't give it to any projects that have already started. So there's some projects we just can't start until we get the money from them.
Oh, this is news to me. You didn't tell me.
Is that artistic projects like the outside, the frame, or the foundation, or
no artistic stuff? It's only structural safety, things like that. Like if there's lead paint, they'll actually give us the money for free. The rest are like long-term loans that are, really low interest to fix it up in, other ways.
Okay.
There we go. So, well, you'll have to tell me all about it. I'm going to see Elmer on Tuesday.
In person?
In person.
Yep.
At the actual property while he's
no. We're going to be meeting. We're actually going to be in person with Mindy for the first time in years.
Wow.
Yep. So
wow, getting our funds from our sponsors. That's what this meeting is about. So we can all go like lay on the yacht somewhere.
I want to be doing this show from Hawaii. No.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly my
Right.
point.
So we're gonna move on from the Ash, and we're gonna move to Here Come the Judge. Here come the judge. Here come the judge. So tell us, how are your numbers these days, Count?
Well, I'm so glad you asked me, Dr. Kevin. I gotta get some bats in here. I forgot my bat downstairs.
I think you need to find a belfry first, honey.
Oh my god, my whole life is one big belfry. So tomorrow I think along with some other people are anticipating, and I don't even know if it's tomorrow, but I somehow got a chance to be in or part of the last episode season of Better Call Saul. And I don't know if you saw that on Facebook.
We did. Woo woo woo.
I didn't. I missed
woo,
that.
woo, woo.
Yeah. So people have been, like, where are you? Where are you going to be? I'm like, I don't know. I know as much as you know, because, they're going to do twists and turns. And over the years, and both Dr. Kevin and Elma, I'm sure you know this, people sign contracts. And no matter how many thousands of times it says in the contract, don't talk about the episode. Don't, the people go right there and then they end up getting sued. So in this case, I have no idea. I signed all the paperwork that they asked me to sign so that it can be released. And I have no idea what they're doing. I don't know anything about the time. I don't know if I'm at the beginning, the middle, the end. I don't know if they are doing something else and all of a sudden I'll pop up. So everybody will just have to stay tuned, because I have people texting me all day today telling me what time it comes on tomorrow. I'm aware of what time it comes on tomorrow. They're like, where are you in the sequence? I told you when you asked me that a week ago. I don't know. I just know that I am excited to be a part of one of my most favorite shows ever.
What is this? What is this show again? What's it called?
Better Call Saul.
Better Call. I mean, I saw the Facebook post and the Instagram post, and I liked both of them, but I don't think I'm familiar. What station is it on?
It's AMC. And you know what, Dr. Kevin, I think you would really love it. Did you watch Breaking Bad?
No.
Okay, so it's like a spinoff, and it's the attorney who's in Breaking Bad and all of his antics and craziness. And he ended up with his own show, and they're kind of backtracking how he became who he is, the Better Call Saul. He has all these personas, but they're all like some kind of gimmick and crazy. I think you would like it because you would get a kick out of some of the gimmicks he comes up with. I mean, the cheesier, the dumber, the better.
So now, will you be reviving your persona as Homer Hickman's mother?
It's funny you should say that. Homer and I actually talked this week, and he has some ideas out there. And Scott Hill, who, the GM, we also talked. This season is over for Theater West Virginia, but Scott always somehow figures out a way to revamp that. So I think both him and Homer and Homer's agent, Burke, who's also a good friend, they're doing something behind the scenes. So yes, I am looking forward to being revamped as his mom.
Well, I was thinking maybe you're going to be revamped on What About Saul. I thought maybe coming from West Virginia, you could be the love child of his mother, who was his sister that he was having an affair with and had a child or something.
Would you go ahead and hashtag that for me next to Better Call Saul? Let's get this any angle. I am not ashamed. I don't care. Any angle. I don't care what kind of scenario you come up with. I am in.
So this is a legitimate question. Please don't make fun of me. I don't have cable. The last time I had cable, I think it only had 12 channels. uh, what is AMC?
You know what? Let me tell you, your legitimate question that I'm not going to make fun of, because before I met my husband, I didn't even have a television.
So, I mean, to me, AMC is the theater chain we go to down the road. So when you said AMC, I was like, well,
I think it's the American Movie Channel. I think is what it stands for.
I think that's what it is. Is the Walking Dead on there too? Are they
Uh,
on AMC?
I think they are also on AMC.
Yeah, because I don't watch television very often, so I'm kind of, that's a legitimate question for me. I don't have a clue.
Yeah, they do have an AMC Plus, stream anywhere. But yeah, Walking Dead.
Okay. I mean, I was curious because I was like, I don't know if I could actually get it because I don't have cable. You get some of the stuff on apps. I mean,
yeah, that's an Elmer question or my husband. I don't know if you, because my husband, from what I understand, has like 1 million channels on cable. I don't know how any of them work. I don't know what's on there. I don't have a clue. It's just a lot. So I think you can stream it on your phone or tablet, Elmer.
Well, they have an AMC Plus if you're you have to pay for it or get 7 days free. But I think I'm not sure of this because I don't use the AMC app. But like I pay for Apple TV, and so or now it's called Direct TV Stream. So I think because I have those channels, I think you can log into AMC because I get AMC on my Direct TV. So I think you get AMC, you can watch it that way. So Kevin, like I've logged you into some of my stuff, so maybe we can try and see if I can get you the AMC app and log you in.
I'd just like to see. I mean, obviously, I want to see the magnificent presence of what
Me too.
when she looks like when she's out in the desert.
Well, don't you know that she goes and and practices and prepares a 10-minute monologue, and they'll just cut it out.
That's exactly what I was thinking when I got the notice. I'm like, okay, this is a full-on skit. Now they could condense it down like some other people I know, and it's not a skit, it becomes a sk. So let's see what. I have PTSD from though, because it's not just you. I mean, I've done things years and years and years, and then all of a sudden, like they scrap it, and then I never think about it again. And a couple of years later, someone will take a screenshot. They're like, "Oh, I saw you and so and so." I'm like, "Okay, nobody even told me that was being released." But once you sign the paperwork, they can release it anytime, anywhere. So I'm just pushing my way forward. Dr. Kevin, enough about me. I'll send you the link if they send it to me and I see me. When's your new book coming out? I need copies, and I'm coming to visit you, and you can sign them and give me all my copies while
when are you coming?
Well,
I don't know.
Thoughts at 4 a.m. Was that not out last time we were on air? Maybe it just came out. I just actually got the hard copies. So
I don't think that was out.
So yeah, so Thoughts at 4 a.m. is out. That is my latest book of poetry that's out. And I don't have anything else. I think I don't have anything else scheduled this year. I had the most wonderful day with my husband. And the reason I segued from that to that is because I'm working on my new LGBTQ romance, mainstream romance, and I've been working on it. I think about 6 weeks now, 5, 6 weeks, 7 weeks maybe. But I'm topping about 85,000 words. I'm about 80%, 85% done, and I had enough done that Jeff and I went to a local place we go hiking. I printed out a bunch of it, and we spent a couple hours with me starting, because I'm a verbal editor. And so the first time I go through my book, I like to read it out loud to somebody and then have their feedback. But also that's how I make the notes and stuff. It's like I easier do it on that than on the screen. So yeah, so Sorry, could you say that? So that was really we were in this beautiful, we'd do a couple of chapters and then we'd get up and we'd hike to a different place and we'd sit down and we'd do a couple of chapters and hike. And so I don't know. I mean, I think we got maybe through 20% of the book because, you know, I'm reading it and listening. And I've actually asked a couple of friends of mine, I've said, do you like audiobooks? And if they say yes, I'm going, would you be willing to spend some time and have me read my book to you? It would be like listening to an audiobook and then give me your feedback. I want to do all of this before I send it to the publisher editor for the publishing house. I mean, I want to go through it 2 or 3 times, but I'm over the moon happy with how the book is coming out. And I don't know if I said this last time, but it's gone in my head from a single book to a series. And so there's like 8 books in it now that
Wow.
are, and I've been interweaving the characters that are going to have their own book. So I have the canon done, you know, like birth dates, death dates. I've run astrology charts for key players to, you know, really get into the depth of the character. I'm making the time period that the initial book is coming out one of the players in the book. So I'm pegging it to real life events and how it affects these 2 characters as it affects the world. And as part of the evolution of them as going, because, you know, in the book, we start with 2 little boys that become best friends and become inseparable best friends that at some point later in adulthood realize that they're soulmates. So,
I love it. I
what'd you
want
say?
to audition.
I'm sorry, what'd you say?
I want to audition.
Oh, well, the guy that is that's working with me, the guy that's the publisher that's running the program that was on here, Nick, that we had on, his primary thing is he's a screenwriter. He's done a lot of screenwriting for stuff for movies in Hollywood. He teaches screenwriting. I think it's through the University of California. So he's a professor at USC teaching screenwriting and stuff. And he's been following, he hasn't read the book yet, but he's been following as we've been talking about like what's going on. And he's already said, he's like, I can pretty much 90% tell you I'm going to want to turn this into a movie.
I've already got the role.
Well, you would be the perfect character of Ma. So
I don't care. I'll play dad. I'll play mom. I'll play the family pet. I will play any of those because I know if you are putting it into a series, it's going to be magnificent. And I want in.
Well, Ma ends up getting her own book. That's a book that's a couple of books down. So she gets her own book, and she is probably, I'm going to say, the 3rd most important character in the book.
I'll take it.
So she's through the whole book. She is teaching these little boys about ghosts and gods and love and judgment and bigotry and all the things that they were being forced to face in the 60s and early 70s. So
I'm in. I'm ready.
It would be a perfect role for you. It really would.
Put me in the game, coach.
So anyways, but we should probably get to our guest, or she's going to, you know, decide to just hang up on us. She's like,
no, she's back there probably writing notes. She's probably like, keep talking. I have to answer these questions. I have 9 questions.
Talking. Oh, so I do want to just throw out a little teaser. Elmer and I are going to throw out just a little tiny teaser. We can't say anything yet, and we don't know if it's going to go anywhere, but we're just going to say we're having a meeting tomorrow that could really really add some interesting things. Wouldn't you say that's a good way to put it, Elmer?
Yep.
Add some interesting things to like my life or to the world or nothing. If you can't say anything else, I get it.
Let's just say it may be an opportunity. It's a meeting that is about that is about an opportunity for me and a TV show.
I love it. It's
So
I'm there. Whatever it is, I'll be in the audience. I'll hold up cue cards. I'll paint. I'll paint.
so anyways, but we'll see. We may come back in 2 weeks and go, yeah, it went nowhere. Who knows?
Every
Life is
opportunity is an opportunity for development.
That's true. Okay, you want to introduce tonight's guest?
This is the money lady. I mean, I think everybody already knows who she is based on some of the questions that Dr. Kevin is going to take away from her. Mary Ashby is a fine friend. Anybody who kind of knows you and gets in their car and drives hours and hours from where they live to where this outdoor theater is taking place to come see you in a role is definitely my idea of family. And the fact that she has really changed the way my husband and I looked at money and what needs to happen. And this was years and years ago when we lived in Virginia. So I am really excited to bring Mary Ashby back so that she can tell me the secret to being a multimillionaire by Tuesday at noon.
Well,
laughing is a big part, right?
she's got this bridge she's going to sell you in Brooklyn, and
I'll take it.
Be at noon, you can resell it and make millions of dollars. Right?
I'll take it.
That might be the only
Mary.
way.
Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. It's so good to be back with you all.
So, Mary, for those of you, so Mary, I want you to take a second because I know this is not quite in the realm of the reality known as Rain World. But there might be people who actually were not present or did not see it the first time. So all they know is you can drive a car and you do something with other people's money, which could make you anything from a politician to a burglar. So can you tell us exactly what is the role with money you play? And then I'm gonna take you. We're gonna go to church after that.
Okay, gotcha. So I am your money GPS. I help you grow, protect, and save for your financial future. And I'm based in Virginia, but have licenses in a lot of different states. And when I say licenses, investment licenses and things like that. So basically, like I said, I help individuals and families with getting on track with their financial game plan, helping them develop their financial game plan and implementing it.
So, do you know that what the easiest way is to get a license to work with other people's money is in all 50 states?
Well, luckily, if you are looking to be like a representative or an investment advisor, those are federal licenses. So, there's just a process to go through to, you have to be with a firm, but to get those licenses, tests you have to take, all that good stuff. But it's a pretty straightforward process.
Isn't the firm another name for like the mob? Isn't the firm, wasn't that one of the nicknames for the mob?
You tell me, Dr. Kevin.
I was thinking that the easiest way to get a license to deal with other people's money, actually a license to steal, was to just get elected into DC. And then you stole money from all 50 states from people. But
I'm not going there tonight, so
Rain won't let me go there either, but it was. She has to admit it's a good joke. She's laughing.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear a word anybody said. So were you guys talking?
You know nothing. You know nothing.
You better call Saul. Those are the kind of things that he could get you out of.
So I know we had some people that sent in some questions. I'm going to try to get to some or all of them. But I actually have a very specific place I want to start this with, which I think is a huge question for a lot of Americans today. We have rising Fed rates. We have inflation like we haven't had for a long time. It seems to been metering out a little bit, but still we are in an inflationary time period. What should people be thinking about their own money and what to be doing when we are in an inflationary period like we are now? What would you be saying to your clients like Rain if she said, "What can you do to help me with inflation?" And move to Canada doesn't count.
That's a really good question. And, most of the people that I work with, we have a plan in place. And now if inflation has definitely thrown a wrench into that plan. I don't think most of us were expecting these, extraordinary high inflation numbers. But what a plan, I just can't emphasize how important having a plan in place is, because then you can go through these bumps, because it's a bump, it's a road bump, and it might be a 6-month road bump. It might be a year or 18 months, or even a little bit longer, but it's just a bump in the road. And we've seen these things happen before, and we can't panic. I think that's probably the biggest advice I can give people, is not panicking and making rash decisions based on emotion. Thinking about this logically and working with someone, that you trust, and, getting through this bump in the road.
So what do you see the correlation being between the market and inflation, or is there not one?
There definitely is a correlation between the market and inflation. And, but there's a lot of other pressures right now on the economy. And I don't profess to be some economically brilliant person, so let me just state that. But, there's a lot of other pressures going on right now. So, the market, I think, is still a little overvalued, probably. So, I think we're still going to see some bumps, even though it's leveled out some. But, so I don't think we're out of the woods yet, especially when it comes to the market right now. And the what's the word I'm looking for? Anyway, just the volatility in it. Just expect more volatility.
So doing things, and you and I discussed, I can't remember whether it was on air or after air. Yours is a field that I did a long time ago, back when you were just a little schoolgirl.
And in the same town I'm in, I think.
And in the same town. And so, but things change, laws change, regulations change. I would never put myself out to, for licenses that expired 30 years ago, more than 30 years ago. But I guess part of it is I understand when you say plan, that I want to clarify for our audience that people can plan for retirement, but they can also plan for a house, or they can plan for college education, or they can plan for how often are they going to get a new car even. There's a lot of out there. I think when you say plan, I think a lot of people in their heads tend to jump to retirement if it's not a better specification of plan. Would you say that that's a fair comment?
Yes. And especially I think when it comes to investing too, because some of the other things might be shorter term goals that I would never recommend that anyone invest money to achieve goals, in 3 years or so. You have to be really careful, because we've seen what the market has done in the last 6 months, 7 months.
Yeah. So, but correct me if I'm wrong. I mean, if I were to come to you in this moment
Mhm.
and say, here's have after on a weekly.
Kevin.
What?
Kevin, you froze.
Oh, did I? Am I
Yeah.
back?
Mhm.
What did you miss? So if I were to say to you, so I can't help it if I froze after that heat wave. It felt good. So but in this is the only thing your planning does is investments. Like if I'm not qualified for investments, can I not come to you?
No, not at all. Not at all. Because the plan encompasses everything that you want to do in your achieve financially. So this things that you mentioned, buying a new car, how often am I doing that? Purchasing a home, getting rid of debt, planning for children's college, all those things play into it. But I just wanted to distinguish between investing, because when people talk about investing, those are longer term goals.
So if you're working with somebody, because again, I'm coming back. I think that a lot of Americans right now are freaking out. The inflation, the volatility of the market. What is the meaning of money? And are feeling very like scary, and at a time when maybe they should be looking at it differently as a way to maximize the opportunities of what we have. And that doesn't always mean investments. You of all people know
Right.
that. What are the other things that or other places you may send them, or things that you may structure? Okay, we're in an inflationary period, we're in a market. This is a good time to do this, this, and this. What does that look like?
Well, and some of these things are pretty basic, but making sure that you have a decent emergency fund in place right now. And if anyone's looked at their savings rates at the bank, they've gone up because of inflation and increased, actually with the interest rates going up. But you're making sure you have that in place. Paying down some debt, if that is, if you've got debt that you owe, because think about this, right now with interest rates rising, most credit card debt, other home equity loans, home equity lines of credit, those things are based on the federal rate. So as that's going up, your interest rates are going up. So getting that stuff paid off as soon as possible might be to your benefit.
Okay. So looking at that now, when you say, that emergency fund,
Mm-hmm.
what do you use as a general formula? I mean, this is not specific.
Mm-hmm.
Let's everybody not get their panties in a knot. We're not giving you specific financial advice here. This is just a general kind of thinking this way. So
Right.
now I've done your CYA. What is your formula, Mary? I mean, like, what do you have?
So definitely having $2,000 in savings. That is the first step, because that will cover almost any emergency. Car breaks down, you need to replace an appliance, any things like that. Because I really feel strongly that avoiding debt is important. Too many people, and especially in times like these, will, instead of changing their style of living, will start using the credit card more when they're at the grocery store, when they're at the gas pump, or when they just want something. And I'm not talking about, you got to put gas in your car, to go to work and you have no money. I'm talking about just not changing your style of living right now when these, all these pressures are happening with, especially with, prices increasing so much. And, and so that is critical to, really evaluate your, budget. Dirty word, but now is one of the best times to start looking at that. How much are you spending on things? What can you cut out? Go look at your credit card statements. Get, a lot of us have these monthly charges coming out. We were talking about, different, streaming services, things like that. What can I start eliminating, just to help meet the grocery prices, the gas prices, the other things that I need on a daily basis.
So I have two questions for you.
Mhm.
And one is, so I see these go by in my social media my social media feeds. This app that's supposed to go in if you enter everything and then make it easier to cancel and show you where you're not using things. Do you have any experience with that? Is something that you've ever recommended to your clients? Have you tried it to see if it is something to recommend to your client? Because let's face it, it gets really crazy having so many different streams of information and income and do. So have you tried one of the apps? Do you like it? If you haven't tried it, is it something you're thinking about? Would you recommend it to your clients? So let's start with that one.
Okay. No, I have not tried one of those apps that you're talking about, but I have heard of them, and I've had some people use them and have spoken well of them. And I don't even know the specific one because I'm sure there's more than one out there. I mean, so definitely I can't, recommend one. But one of the things I do recommend is, keeping your financial situation as simple as possible. So having everything coming out of one debit card and pull your statement and just look at it, and or off of one card, so definitely. And I do prefer debit cards rather than credit cards for all the reasons I mentioned before. So, yeah, I would ask around. I mean, I think that's where some of our best resources come from is, ask your friends. Has anybody used this app? What's your experience been?
Yeah. I think that, depending on the age group that you're working with, that, working in your 20 to 30, even 30 to 35 age group, that, definitely if you can show them an app that's going to help them manage their money, that you're probably going to get a lot more cooperation versus they're going, you want me to print out a what? You want me to compare what? I don't even know how to do it. Can you still get those? I thought do they still do statements at banks? I work with 20 somethings on how to live through life, like how to live. Like I've literally had one say to me, you can get a bank. I didn't know you could get a bank. What would I get a bank statement for? So that's why I'm thinking, if this is the language we need to talk to them with, that we probably need to be, that's why I was curious.
Yeah,
I'm sorry, Mary. Go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to mention that I know most of the people that I work with that are in the 20 to 40-year-old range, because debit card use is so prevalent, they are checking their bank statements every day or every other day, even though they don't realize that they're actually checking a bank statement because they're logging in online and looking at everything very frequently, to see what their balance is.
What I thought was interesting, and Dr. Kevin, I'm glad you brought that up. We have, and I don't remember seeing this on our credit cards before. So we have a Southwest credit card, so we get points, and we have Capital One. And I think over the course of maybe the last couple of years, I happen to, because I try to make sure they stay at zero, but I happened to look at the Southwest one because they sent something at the end of the year, and they had a graph on there that showed where we spent our money, and they, and it was like a pie chart. and it had it in color. And I was like, oh, this is really good. So you can see if your entertainment is actually higher or lower. Because a lot of times we probably don't know exactly what we're spending with, well, we're streaming and you need a credit card. Or, it's like, well, in order to get a discount on this, you need to put it on your credit card and this, that, and the other. And I thought that was interesting because it had more detail than a bank statement. Like I could look at the colors and say, oh, wow, I didn't realize we were spending this much at the power company. Or, whoa, I didn't realize every month this was what my Verizon bill looks like. So I think that's probably tailored for like the Elmer generations that go in and, need an app. Because definitely
younger than Elmer. He just had a milestone birthday.
Oh, yes, that's right. Younger than Elmer.
Was my dyslexia kicking in again? So I have another question for you, Mary, and then I'm going to ask you a couple of questions people have sent in. So I know there used to be a thing, and I got a little bug-eyed when you told me what your safety valve was, because I know, and again, I'm ancient history, when Wells Fargo actually did travel with a covered wagon, and
there's me in the back.
Was the concept of 3 months of expenses was considered a reasonable? When did that change? You said 2000, and I'm like, oh my God, that wouldn't cover anything if I missed a week of work. It wouldn't. Right. It wouldn't even. I mean, no. So
no, you're
very shocked.
Yes, that's an initial, and I didn't complete that. That's the initial. Have 2000, then really focusing on debt and getting rid of debt would be my next priority with most people. And then building that 3 to 6 months of bare bone living expenses. And so it would be whatever you felt comfortable with. And I work with each person, individually to determine what their bigger safety net is. But you are right. Yes, you do have to get to a point where you have more than $2,000 in savings. That's just initial to keep you from putting things on credit cards while you're getting that debt paid off.
So there used to be an approach, and I'm just curious what you think about it, where it would be like, okay, so I have $100. I'm going to do 50 on debt and 50 on savings, even if I have the 2000. So I'm bringing the debt down, but I'm also doing that, like that coverage that I feel like I'm going both ways, like finding like a way to divide it instead of 2000, everything goes on debt, which sometimes can take a long time to pay off. And I get it with interest rates, and so do you ever recommend a split, or are you pretty much like, no, you got the 2000. So, if you get a nail in your tire and buy something to McDonald's, it's gone, but don't do it in the same week, because that's about what 2000 covers right now. Would you do a split version? What's your thoughts?
So when I would do a split version would be probably when there was some retirement money in the picture, like where you might be missing some free money from your employer, some match money. I would definitely say then, let's make sure we're getting all the free money we can get from our employer. That would be a time when I would definitely do a split. But getting rid of debt, especially right now, is critical, because if you think about it, if you can eliminate debt, and then you have so much more money that you can really put towards your emergency fund and the bigger emergency fund, and you have a whole lot less bills if something happens.
So if I look at my husband as expensive in a debt, you want me to divorce him first?
I'm not going there either.
Good job, Mary.
I said if. I didn't say he was. I said if.
She's not getting in that at all.
So we had quite a few questions about checking accounts. I don't know if they came from all sorts of different people. I suspect there is somebody who, I suspect they may have come from the same person. So they want to know, is a checking account really necessary? Do you need it to get insurance and invest? Can you get denied one by a bank? Yes. And why? Well, there's a lot of reasons why. And let me see, what was it? There was like 3 or 4. So talk about checking accounts. Do we still need them in 2022? If so, why? And, is there something specific you need them for anymore? That's kind of the question.
Yeah, and I think what a lot of younger people are doing today is, they're putting their salaries going directly to like a debit card type thing. That's still an account. It's probably set up pretty similarly to a checking account, even though it might not be called a checking account. So yes, you do need to have an account that your money's going into and can come out of. Now, for investing, most investment firms won't take a debit card as a form of payment. And so a lot of times you do have to have a routing number and an account number. So, and I think that even though I don't have one of those accounts, but I think most of those accounts that are debit cards have routing and account numbers. They're online accounts. So I think that, yes, you still need to have some sort of an account. And you also can't just rely on your savings accounts because you got limits as to how much you can pull out of your savings account each month. So yes, checking account is necessary.
And I would agree with that. I want to add in that one of the ways, because I put a ton of stuff on credit cards because I get points, I get miles, I get this. But I, in my checking account, set it up that I pay every month down to 0. Like it just pays the whole balance. It keeps it going. I have all sorts of and Elmer was the one that browbeat me into this when he first started working as my accountant, because I was going to have him write checks. And he's like, I don't write checks. Everything's going to be automatic. That's the way it is. There's a new sheriff in town. That was about right, Elmer? Is it about what you said to me when you came to work for me and was handling money?
And it's taken me a few years, but I've also done that with Maria too.
Yeah, a mutual friend of ours. Yeah, yep. First thing he took away from me, he was like, "No, we're not writing checks." But you may never write a check, but there are things that you need to have, like you said, and it actually can be a very valuable. I'm not going to get late fees. I'm not going to do things. I only have to keep track of the fact that I keep the money in the account for it to take out. And, there are so many, it's easier than it's ever been, because I used to work in banking. Literally, I worked in banks for like 5 years. And it's so easy now to even set it up that on a monthly basis, it transfers from the savings into the checking account in time to pay all the bills. Like, it makes it so easy now. Like, there should be no reason to get an overdraft charge unless you literally don't have the money. But
Right.
You need that checking account there to do that.
Well, the other thing I'll emphasize, if I can just jump in here, don't ever pay any fees for a checking account. If a checking account, they want to charge you fees because you're not keeping enough money in it, look for another account. There's plenty out there. You do not have to pay a monthly fee.
Now, have you had any experience that a lot of the credit card companies have jumped in, like Capital One, with now you can do an online banking? I get promos all the time from Capital One, from Chase. I mean, there seems to be this big move where there are accounts where there are no brick and mortar. Do you think there's any higher risk to that? Or, I mean, as long as they're FDIC insured, what are your thoughts?
I mean, I just encourage people to always do their research before they, change banks or move with a non-brick and mortar bank. But I think there's lots of good options out there. I think you mentioned some, and it's a pretty easy, research on the Google, Mr. Google, your friend, to figure out what the best ones are.
So here's a question I wanted to ask, which is, can a person start investing without parental consent? At what age can a person start?
Yeah, it's normally 18, which is the age of majority. So at 18, for most people, they can start investing without parental consent. But I will add that prior to 18, if you have a good relationship with your parents, you can open up an account. Your parent has to be, or someone, an adult has to be the custodian, but that you can definitely begin investing earlier than age 18.
So it's not the highest. It's not the highest. I'm going to throw this out. Unfortunately, have had a couple of experiences with, 18-year-old kids moving out and parents draining their joint account on their way out the door. I've seen it happen. So one of the, and they have no recourse because the parent's name was on the account, which is again why we have to get children better rights, but that's a different story for a different day. But if you're 14, 15, 16, and you think your parents are shady, and maybe they are, maybe they're not, but if you think they are, but you want your money to make some money, I believe, you can correct me if I'm wrong, you can buy yourself savings bonds that are in your name that do not have to have your parents' name on them. And you may find a worthy adult that you can hand the cash to if you're working a job. You're working at McDonald's or you're working at Target or Walmart or wherever, and you cash your check. But if you really want to, at least you're getting something. What do you think of that?
I don't know that anyone younger than 18 could buy it because that's still it's a contract, and you can't, 18-year-olds, to the best of my knowledge, you have to be 18 to be on, own a savings bond because most of the time those savings bonds that are bought for you have a parent's name on them. Mm-hmm. But what I would say is if it is a uniform gift to minors account or a uniform transfer to minors account, which is two of the legal ways you set up accounts for minors, though that money is the minor's money. So if that account gets drained, there is recourse because that is their money. And if it wasn't used for their benefit, then, that's against the rules of the account.
Yeah. The savings bond thing, like I used to always buy all of my nephews and nieces when they were under 18 savings bonds as Christmas gifts. So that's why I said if you do have a trustworthy adult, they can put their name on it, buy you the bond with your money, and it is yours to cash out, and you physically can hold the bond. That's kind of the workaround. It's not illegal. I know the uniformed. Unfortunately, if you have shady parents, they're not going to suggest you get that kind of an account. If you, as a 16-year-old, don't know enough to ask for it, which is why we're educating people.
Right.
Is homeownership still a good investment? What do you think?
I'm still definitely agree in home ownership. I think it's an interesting time to look at purchasing a home with, prices are still higher for most of the part of the country. values, but with interest rates going up, that might begin to change. I always recommend that people find a trusted realtor and a trusted mortgage broker to really evaluate your situation and when the timing is right to purchase a home.
Can you really buy an investment property with no money down?
Again, go to your trusted realtor and trusted mortgage broker. They know the answers to that, and they know all the rules and all the programs. There's tons of programs out there, but that is definitely not my area of expertise.
So somebody wanted to know if you studied finance in high school.
No, I did not. I took some accounting classes in college. But no, I did not study it in high school. They didn't offer classes. It was interesting. I mean, there was a class where we learned to balance a checkbook, which no one does anymore. But that was about the extent of my knowledge. And I wish everyone had parents like I had growing up. I worked from a very young age. My parents always helped out, but I was always expected to participate. So I learned the value of money early on and, had, accounts, bank accounts early and had to manage them. And, that's one of the best ways to learn, how to start managing your money. I always recommend, this is what I did with my children. They, especially when it was gifts and things like that, they always had to take a percentage and put it into savings. They had to give a percentage and then they got to spend a percentage. And, so I think that is always a good way to, help your children and young adults start to learn the value of money and, not always be given things, because as soon as they started working too, and I'll put this plug out there, when they had a job, they had to start a Roth IRA. The younger you start that, the better. That's after-tax dollars going into an IRA account, but it grows tax-free. And, so that, again, is an excellent thing to look at as a young adult with a job, because you have to have earned income to open one.
So one person wanted to know, how do I do what you do so I can help others?
That's a really good question. I think having an interest in it is the first thing, and then connecting with somebody. I mean, if someone is here in the U.S., because I know you all have an international audience, but if they're in the United States and would like to learn more, I'll give my contact information and I can point them in some directions to, learn how to do this. So, I'll be glad to do that.
Excellent, because she's 12.
So I know we're almost out of time. I do want to put this out there. I'm going to ask this question only because I want whoever was asking that question, which I'm assuming is either watching it or is going to watch the replay. But I suspect you are responsible for getting your own clients. Is that not true?
Yes, that is true. With my firm, that is true. And most firms, that's the case.
Yeah.
It's not the mob firms. With our firm, that's the case. But we have a great process, and most companies do, on how to get people started and to really help them with reaching out to people, either warm or lukewarm or cold markets. There's lots of great ways to do that. And I will put this out there because I'm in Virginia, but a lot of states in the United States are now requiring companies who have, and in Virginia, what it is 25 or more employees are going to have to offer a retirement plan. And that's another way to really help individuals and businesses out is, to start talking to businesses.
Yep. So
Is this where you come in?
what?
I said, is this where Elmer comes in and tells us our countdown is over?
Almost. So I just wanted to make it clear there are ways to do things that are closer to working with people's finances in a social work position like way, where you would get hired and paid to help people figure out money and do things. But it's more of a social worker. And then what Mary does is a sales position. And however warm the leads are, it's still a sales position. There's nothing wrong with that. That's the position I had. It's a great position. But for somebody who's considering it, you do want to take a look and say, can I see myself going out and making sales to convince people I can help them, which is going to be a lot more profitable. Let's be clear. Salespeople make more than social workers if they're any good. So we just want to have a reality check here, versus being, somebody who goes and does it, again, in more of a social work mode. There are two different ways to help people with money. Of the two, there's only one in which you don't ever have to worry about how much money you have, and that would be Mary's way.
Yeah.
If you do it well.
So we are out of time.
Yep.
Our next guest in 2 weeks is Sean Kanan.
Yep, from the Karate Kid.
And Cobra Kai.
Mm-hmm.
And a few other Bold and the Beautiful, Young and the Restless. He's an actor and producer. So that will be August 28th. Thank you Mary for coming back and sharing your wisdom with us again. I will play us out, and as soon as I get the outro going.
Thanks for watching or listening to the Laughing, Loving, and Alive show. If you enjoyed this episode and you'd like to help support the show, please share it with others, post about it on social media, or support us with Buy Me a Coffee. To catch all of the latest from Laughing, Loving, and Alive, you can follow us on Instagram at Laughing, Loving, and Alive, and on Facebook at Laughing, Loving, and Alive. Thanks again, and see you next time.